Past 8.
This is Paul Henry.
And the panel are in Don Brash, former Reserve Bank Governor. Don, good morning.
Good morning.
And Sarah Henry, editor of Next Magazine.
Hello.
How are you, Sarah?
Good.
Right, with lots to talk about. Very quickly, though, Don, first of all, China. Obviously, things have got a little worse in the stock market, but the big worry is going to be if that translates into the Chinese economy.
That's right.
Do you think it will?
The share market is a relatively small part of the Chinese economy, perhaps luckily, because it's already substantially overvalued still. I mean, despite the fall, it's still very highly priced. So it's not good news for China and therefore not good news for New Zealand.
Can we put this down, though, to a correction? Because, as you say, it's overvalued. Mm-hmm. It went up by 100 and something percent. It was ridiculous.
Months, yeah.
It's come back by about 30. So can we just say, it's just a correction?
It's still up 10% this year and up 70% on this time last year. So it's still high.
So are you worried about this?
I am.
One of the issues that I mentioned this morning, of course, is that it also desperately affects the Australian economy. Mm-hmm. So it's a double whammy for us because we're affected
direct
by...
and indirect.
Direct and indirect,
That's right.
yeah. So when will we know whether this is going to correct itself or whether this is going to create a bigger problem?
I don't know the answer to that question, of course, but I think one of the things which is making it worse in some sense is the Chinese government's vigorous attempts to stop it. Mm. When the Chinese government's saying, don't panic, everyone thinks, my gosh, there must be something seriously wrong here. Mm. I think, in fact, it's counterproductive.
And if the Chinese government are, in fact, panicking themselves, it's because they introduced a couple of actually quite sensible procedures, but none of them have worked.
That's right.
Mm. All right, and very quickly on Greece. Sarah, do you want to say anything about Greece?
Oh, that's Don's department, most definitely.
What,
good holiday destination.
Is Don's department.
Yeah, I'm not commenting on that one, but
I mentioned this morning, that the Greeks, they're so bloody arrogant. Here they are, they've been living off the pig's back for years and years, squandering money that effectively has been given them for nothing, and now they're holding the EU to ransom.
That's right. That's right. It is outrageous. I've got a 22-year-old son about to go to Greece. I fortunately persuaded him not to go to Greece because, quite frankly, if he gets there with a great wad of euros in his pocket, he's a target. Mm.
So you've got the issue as from a tourism point of view that they're advising you to take cash because obviously you can't take it out of the banks there.
That's right.
So you become a target for, as you say, crime. But the flip side of that is, where do you stay? Most of the hotels and what have you cannot afford to buy food for the guests and things like that. Extraordinary. Right, child abuse we've been talking about this morning, Sarah. There's no quick fix for this, and the worry, I think, is there even a fix for it, quick or not?
yeah, look, this is a, as I said, dreadful situation. And I mean, if you, I think even if there was one case of child abuse in New Zealand, it's still a dreadful situation. Look, parenting is the hardest job someone will ever do in their life, and ironically, it's the job that you do the least amount of training for. There is no licensing procedures, there are no courses that you go on, there is no standard that you have to meet compared to so many other areas of our life, and we're responsible for another human being. And you've got all these vulnerable people trying to take care of someone else, and they can't take care of themselves.
No, that's right. And yeah, I mean, arguably for these people, parenting's very easy because they don't give a damn about it, in many cases. And that's a great tragedy, isn't it, Don, that we're talking about, admittedly, a small proportion of parents in the country, but they're very, very bad people.
I don't really fully accept that, actually, Paul. I think child abuse is, to some extent, a result of stress. Why are people stressed in New Zealand? I think in Auckland, at least, it's because of the extraordinary price of housing. You're overcrowded, you're 9 out of 10 people in a house, you feel mad most of the time, so you take it out on your kids. Or you're paying half your total income on rent or mortgage interest rate.
And I sort of accept that, but here's the reason you can't be actually right. There are many, many people in exactly that situation who don't take it out on their kids.
That's true, of course. But stress is obviously a major factor in causing child abuse. And I think housing and the price of housing is a major factor in that stress.
Yeah. Let's talk about this restaurant ban just very quickly before we go to the break. An overwhelming number of people who are listening to and watching this program and taking part in this program are very supportive of this restaurateur and saying that every right to do it. Completely.
I would probably book a restaurant that had done it
you
over
would
a
go
restaurant
there for that reason.
hadn't.
Yeah.
And I've got a 4-year-old son. I mean, my child doesn't want to go to a fine dining restaurant as much as I don't want to take him to a fine dining restaurant. Two completely different experiences. You're either taking your small child out for a family dinner in a family-friendly environment, or you're going out to have some adult time. Nobody complains about child-free resorts. You know,
no, you're
and
right,
that's
actually.
a selling
No,
point.
you make a very good point. And also, nobody complains when they go to Cobb & Co. or McDonald's because, oh God, there were children sitting next to us having a party. Because that's, I mean, it's your fault for going there if you don't want to subject yourself to children having a party.
Exactly. And, I mean, I don't know what child is going to eat the cuisine at a fine dining restaurant. I'd like to meet one of those because mine certainly wouldn't.
I mean, more particularly, why would you take a young child to that kind of restaurant where you wait 10 minutes to give your order, another 20 minutes before food arrives?
Well, actually, it is
half an hour. Kids are mad.
Yeah, I was just going to say it's a very mild form of child abuse in a funny sort of way because you're sitting them there. There's the hint of food. They're hungry, and they're just going to have to wait for. They don't know why.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, so you're both entirely happy.
Completely. Selling point for me.
Yeah, we're completely on side with this one. All right, 22 and a half minutes past 8. The panel is back with us in just a moment.
Yelling timber, you better move, you better dance. Take me over, take me tonight.
It is great to have you with us this Thursday morning in paradise. Welcome back. Our panel this morning, Don Brash, former Reserve Bank Governor, Sarah Henry, Next Magazine editor. There has been concern expressed, and this has happened over the years, but just recently concern expressed, by the increasing number of children who leave home with an entire inability to prepare food for themselves or others. But it's even worse than that. It's an inability to understand recipes or even know what basic equipment is. It's just something they've never learned. Sarah, did you sort of move out of your house with a good knowledge of a certain amount of
I think so. I mean, I was a product of having a working mother who, quite often got home quite late. So a lot of that dinner preparation fell to me kind of from sort of around 14 years old. So I went out with a pretty good repertoire. But I've got young girls who work for me who wouldn't have a clue what anything is in there. One said to me the other day, I just worked out that powdered ginger's not the same thing as fresh ginger when she tried to put the powdered ginger in the stir fry. I mean, I don't think that would have really
Mind
worked
you,
out
that's
that
at
well.
the high end. I mean, there are a lot of people that wouldn't know how to boil an egg. So powder, once you start talking ginger, powdered
that's
and
spices, herbs, whole different level.
You have just sailed over the top of my head
right.
with the powdered ginger. When's the last time you used powdered ginger, Don?
Listen, when I left home, it's more than half a century ago, Paul. I can have no idea at all what I learned at that point. Not very much.
Here's the funny thing. I would have, and I'm surprised at that because I don't know something about, I remember reading your book and I can't remember that much of it now, but I can remember reading it and I would have thought actually you were pretty self-starter when you left.
I had some basic skills. I mean, scrambled eggs, corned beef. Yes, corned beef I could do. I've had some basic skills, but they were pretty basic, I have to say.
What they're saying in this research is that even in situations where there are, where the mother, and it's usually the mother, is a really good cook, there just seems to be this inability to even think it's necessary to pass that information on.
I think that convenience foods have got a big part to play in that. There's people don't make things from scratch in the same way that they did, and so they're not showing their children how to do that. You go and buy a pasta sauce, or you go and buy some ready-made pasta, that sort of thing, and so that's just sort of exasperated into the next generation. You think, you just buy everything.
No, that's right. I mean, I can honestly say weeks go past in my house without the oven being turned on. In fact, maybe longer than weeks because the oven's quite a complicated environment, isn't it?
Microwave?
The microwave is used more often than the oven.
Mine too.
Because you can buy stuff and put it in there and just eat it straight away.
That's right. Exactly right.
It's like bloody magic. All right, spiders. So we've had an alert. MPI, Ministry of Primary Industries, have put the alert out. Mexican grapes full of spiders. I don't want to alarm anyone, but these are not deadly, but horrible spiders. Is this an alarm for you, Don?
Well, I speak now as a kiwi fruit grower, not as a former Reserve Bank governor. Right. And anything which threatens the biosecurity of the country worries me. But can you check every container of fruit?
That's such a funny thing to say. I speak now as a kiwi fruit governor, a kiwi fruit grower, not the Reserve.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it does alarm because these things. I mean, they're not going to damage kiwi fruit, but this is at one end.
It's a symptom of a biosecurity issue, and of course we've had a fruit fly recently, and so on. So that does worry me. But again, MPI or their staff, custom staff, cannot check every single container.
I suppose that's where I'm coming from with even introducing this subject, Sarah. I mean, surely it is impossible. More and more goods, more and more people are travelling more and more often to more and more different places. I mean, at the end, surely everything will be the same in every country. It will be determined only by climate.
Look, I think they do a phenomenal job when you think about the amount that is coming into this country. When you look at how many cases we do have that slip through, then there's not that many. I mean, I think sometimes it has to come back to the consumer. Our demand for these products, you know, once upon a time, if you couldn't get grapes, you couldn't get grapes. You know, nobody jumped up and down.
You ate seasonally.
Exactly.
Yep.
Now there is consumer demand that I need to have this stuff available every single month of the year. And so that means more and more stuff's coming in. We're having to bring it from this warmer climate and that. And so things are going to happen.
To paraphrase Sarah, you're saying it's our fault.
That's right.
Sarah Henry and Don Brash, thank you very much for joining us. We'll catch you back again soon, I hope. It's